Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Zoom into Wine. It's time for the show and your host, Ian Blackburn.
As long as we can hear him.
Yeah, let's see that.
Should I turn that a little?
There we go. Welcome, everybody. We're going to get started here. Just getting my Facebook Live feed going on. I want to thank you guys for joining us tonight. Yeah, I cut my hair, all of it, chopped for the summer. I did the Greg Gura. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you, man.
How are you?
Good.
We're like brothers, not in a good way.
I just needed to take that on.
Get a little aerodynamic.
Yep. I'm doing my Peloton every morning, and I'm freezing my butt off coming to work with a wet head of hair. So
there you go.
Enough with that.
Yeah.
So welcome, everybody. We've got the Napa Valley Vintners night 3, Stars of Napa Valley tonight, and I've missed you guys. It's been a week since we did nights 1 and 2, and I think we threw everybody for a little bit of a loop. Some people were ready for this on Friday and Saturday last week. But we wanted to spread it out. It's good for your liver, okay? And so we're taking our time and getting through. We have 28 wineries joining us in these 4 nights, and it's been awesome so far. We've got a big night tonight as well. Who's joining us from the Napa Valley Vintners tonight? Is it Kat?
It's Kat.
Hi, Kat.
Hi, Ian.
How's the Napa Valley today?
It's beautiful up here. It's absolutely beautiful. We have blue skies. We just had some nice rain this week, but mustard's still in bloom.
And is it now, are the wineries able to see people with and without appointments? What's the status?
Yeah, so our wineries look forward to welcoming you guys back to the Valley when you're ready to join us. Our wineries are open. Would be delighted to host you. So all the wonderful folks that are here with us this evening certainly would open the doors and welcome you back. Right now we're outdoor tastings, and especially with the weather right now, it's at least today, it's been quite beautiful, but we look forward to hosting you. We have a trip planner on napavalley.wine. It allows you to kind of map your trip out. And so again, when you're ready to come visit us, feel free to use this trip planner. It allows you to kind of map out your plans in real time, and it gives you timing, and it also allows you to explore some of the wineries. We have 550 members. And so there's no shortage of obviously great wines, and hopefully you'll be able to visit one of the vintners that you meet, if not one or more, on your next visit that's with us tonight.
I've been playing around on this website. It is rich.
Thank you.
And I don't know if any other wine region's got anything even close to this type of content. And it's really user friendly. So you can just really go all over the place and see the different ideas and see some things you may know and recognize, and then learn some new things as well. Quite a bit of information here.
Yeah, and actually this is great what you're showing right now. These are upcoming events that our vintners are posting, and some of them you'll see we have Stars of Napa Valley on here.
Pretty good.
Yeah, but so these are not only in person, but also virtual.
Yeah, I just really like this this whole trip planning idea.
Yeah, the trip planner is really fun in that it allows you, if you wanted to search, if you wanted to stay in a specific town, if you wanted to search by your favorite varieties, if you wanted to search by who had wine caves, who has picnics, who's kid friendly, who has charging stations. We've got a lot of different ways for you to search our member wineries. So that website's napavalley.wine.
And it's really great for guys like my brother who will schedule a tasting down here in the morning, and then at noon try to be up here and then 1 o'clock back down over here, and then 3 o'clock over here. I think it's really going to help people.
Yeah, and it's in real time, so it gives you that sense of how much time will it take you to get around the valley.
Fantastic, and thank you very much for hosting us on these 4 nights. The Napa Valley Vintners has been a great partner for us, and they make it all possible. And we've, gosh, it seems like yesterday that we got started, but it's been almost 20 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Well, thanks again for working with us and hosting our vintners.
Well, it's been great, and the vintners are really amazing and diverse. And I'm learning a lot doing this too, because unless you get up there and get to go to the different wineries all the time, you really have a hard time keeping up, because there's a lot of information. Every year the wineries are improving, and they're adding more talent, and just really a continuous improvement program in the Napa Valley. And there's so many things to learn. And when you look at what some of the initiatives are of the Napa Valley Vintners, they're really pushing the green initiatives and sustainability, and water resources and clean fisheries, and just a really responsible organization. So it's really fun. And also there's just pretty tight knit, as you'll see. A lot of the vintners, although everyone's a little bit in the wine world, we're all competitors, but in the Napa Valley, everyone's really realizes that all Napa brands rise in the harbor, and they all take good care of each other. So it's really a fantastic environment. I can promise you that doesn't exist in all the wine regions. It's really a Napa thing, and they're the leaders of that. So let's see who's in the house tonight joining us. We got Greg. I introduced you earlier. Greg is our charity representative handling the auction, and I want to make sure that everybody got a chance to see the email tonight that has all of the beautiful stuff on it. My team works really hard at producing the materials and get them all out. A lot of people have a hard time getting them in the emails. So we're going to work on new ways to communicate this stuff, but email sends us to spam and promotional stuff, but you should have got an email that looks a lot like this. And at the bottom of this email, there's a brochure, there's a tasting mat, and then there's the silent auction link right here. And that is your secret to success tonight. Greg, I know we've had really good interaction on the auction so far. I think there's a couple of new auction items that even entered the playing field. Are there is there anything we wanted to promote, or anybody you want to give a shout out to before we get rolling?
Yeah, I mean, the auction's been doing great. We've had 56 bids. I think there might be 1 or 2 wine items that don't have bids. And we actually have a couple items that have just 1 bid. So for the most part, that's 50% off retail. So give it a look. We'd love to bump off some of these winners. It looks like 10 people are going to walk away with all of this wine.
That's usually how it is, by the way.
It is, but we'd love to have a few more people bump, Lisa Test off. And we appreciate Lisa's bid.
Lisa's been buying up the auctions in the last couple of months. So
yeah, we say it with love. We mention her name just because she goes in there and she bids on so much stuff, and she's getting such a bargain on so much great wine.
Well, let me tell you,
again, it's open to everybody.
She sends it as gifts, and
yes.
And so it's been working out well for her. And so you think about that. The wineries are going to be sending these out, and we could send them as a gift. And it's a really great idea. And everyone's got anniversaries and birthdays, and who wouldn't want a bottle of Napa Valley awesome wine? And there's probably some special mags and other experiential type of stuff in there. So it could be a very opportunistic moment for you to be able to.
And we also have the chat box going all night, and I'll put the direct links to all the items that the vintners are speaking about. We'll put their donations up there so you can go directly to it and check it out.
Cool. Aaron Dolan, I'm glad you got your wine. Super. we have a couple people maybe watching the Zoom tonight or maybe watching it later because, man, the delivery services this week were horrible. I'm not sure what's going on at those places, but we did everything we could to get these wines out as far in advance, but realized that we pour these fresh. So we couldn't mail them a week ago. These wines wouldn't be good a week later. So they got to be poured on time and delivered on time. And that's part of the challenge that we have. But we have 64 people on the Zoom right now. We should be over 70 by the time we're at full strength. A big night. And I want to thank all of you for joining us. And let's get started. Wine number one, we're going to go to Ghost Block. And our host tonight is Morgan Hoxie.
Hi, everyone.
There you are. Good to see you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. So excited to be representing the Napa Valley.
How awesome. Well, let's get started with a toast to everybody. We're going to start off. This is our first white wine of the whole event. So real exciting to start off with yours, and cheers, everyone.
Cheers. Yeah, I was excited to be the only white wine too. Wet your whistle, get ready for all these awesome wines that are coming. But yeah, our Cabernet has been sold out for a couple months. So I was like, well, I want to be a part of this. So we'll start with our Sauvignon Blanc.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to go right into our PowerPoint. And I need to remind the vintners, because we do have so many wonderful people on the Zoom, we are going to move fairly quickly. We're looking at about 7 minutes. So there will be time for questions a little bit later, and the chat box will be roaring. So get in touch with your slideshow, and we're going to be rolling through this in 7 minutes per winery. So and those that are drinking along at home, 7 minutes to move through each wine. It's not a long time, but here we go.
Thanks, Ian. So I'm representing my family's property here in Napa Valley. Ghost Block Estate Wines is made up of our three brands: Ghost Block, Oakville Winery, and Elizabeth Rose. Ghost Block being sort of the top tier. It started out as a Cabernet. We make an Oakville Cabernet and a Yountville Cabernet. The first slide is actually a shot of the true Ghost Block vineyard. So the brand got its name from this vineyard site in Yountville that borders the Yountville Cemetery. And George C. Yount, it's the Pioneer Cemetery. George C. Yount is the man to plant the very first grapevine in Napa Valley in 1837 in our vineyard right across from this vineyard called Blockhouse. But this is our 16-acre vineyard planted solely to Cabernet called Ghost Block due to it bordering the cemetery. And then the next shot, and this is obviously taken recently in our mustard season, the next vineyard shot is of our Rock Caron vineyard that we own in Oakville, right on Highway 29 across from the Brooks restaurant, where a lot of people pull over and take their mustard pictures. But we have a deep family history, and I don't have a lot of time to talk about it, but it all started back in 1903, which makes me fifth generation. My great-great-grandfather bought a piece of land up in Calistoga with a $10 gold coin. And since then, we've moved further south, and today my family owns 1,000 acres between Yountville and Oakville. This is sort of a little bit of our story and our three brands, but of the 1,000 acres, we have about 635 planted to vine. Previous to purchasing our family winery, Napa Wine Company in Oakville, we were selling 100% of our grapes that we grew. And when we purchased Napa Wine Company, we opened up the doors for a custom crush facility in 1993. And in the middle of the 2000s, about 2004, 2005 was the birth of our first vintages of Ghost Block, Oakville Winery, and Elizabeth Rose. All three brands are utilizing our fruit. We still keep the best 20% of the fruit that we grow for our brands, but we still sell 80% to our fellow vintners. Yeah, I'm highlighting our Sauvignon Blanc today, and it happens to be named after me. On my 21st birthday, we renamed this special vineyard. It's 31 acres, planted solely to Sauvignon Blanc, that surrounds my family home where I grew up, where my parents still live. It was acquired in 1986 before my great-grandfather passed away. Gifted to my parents. They had their first child in 86. I came a few years later, and on my 21st birthday, they presented the first vintage, which was 2007, of this bottle of Morgan Lee. And Sauvignon Blanc is absolutely my favorite varietal. It's my, stranded on a deserted island kind of wine. So yeah, it was very fitting. And so for those of you, I hope you all got the first sip and are enjoying this wine. It's 96% Sauvignon Blanc with 4% Semillon. We blend a little bit of Semillon that we grow across Yountville Crossroads in our Blockhouse vineyard. And sort of the style is made every year the same. It's aged 8 months Cellars, so there's some really nice weight on the palate. It has a little bit more of a creamier finish and just a little bit more body than your typical Napa Valley Sauvignon Blanc, just making it a little bit different. Our winemaker is Christy Coford. She's on the next page, and you can kind of see this. She picks 5 tons, 5 tons, and 5 tons at 3 different bricks to sort of get that, acidity that she wants in the crisp, clean sort of style that this is. But with the Cellars aging, it really creates a nice mouthfeel. And we really enjoy that silky mouthfeel. And overall, it has a citrus backbone that we love. There's some really nice white peach, lemon oil, just hints of grapefruit, but not too overpowering. And yeah, it's a really fun wine. Love this with oysters, love it with sushi, really any kind of seafood. So Christy Coford's been with us as our director of winemaking at Napa Wine Company for close to 20 years. She knows her stuff. We're super honored to have her. And yeah, she's been working with our vineyards for a long time. So she does a great job. I don't know if the next slide is a video or not.
It is.
It's a very short video. Okay.
Can I show it?
Go ahead. Sure.
When your family has been harvesting grapes since 1903, you get a feel for the vineyards and the land. Our Ghost Block brand represents our 4 finest single vineyards. The Ghost Block Vineyard, bordering the Yountville Cemetery, Morgan Lee, Rock Karen, and Calissa. Each of these 4 vineyards has its own fingerprint, creating its character of flavors. The very best fruit from these vineyards are chosen to offer you Ghost Block.
My grandfather always said, no one actually owns the land. We are merely stewards of it. I continue to teach my children that same philosophy, to pass the soil on in a better condition than it was passed to us.
Cool. Nice job.
So that kind of goes into our organic farming. My father's the true farmer of the family, and he's been practicing organic farming since 1986. We were certified by the CCOF in 1991 for all 635 acres. He was awarded Great Grower of the Year recently from COG, the California Wine Growers Association, and also in 2009 from Napa Valley Grape Growers. Super proud of what he's done. And yeah, and I think the next picture is a picture of the family. Just something really super unique about us. We're 100% family owned. The board of directors is my entire family. My grandmother, my great aunt, my great uncle, and my father and my uncle. And then my sister and I have filled in our roles working under our father. My sister is our business manager at Yountville Vineyards, and I'm our sales and marketing director for Ghost Block Estate.
Oh, awesome. That's great. Well, it's a perfect way to start off our evening. I like this. There's different styles of Sauvignon Blanc. There's the kind of the reductive style, no oxygen, super crispy, high grapefruit, and then this richer style. And I really think we've done it really well. And it And what's our bottle price on this wine?
26.
$26. That's a heck of a deal. And
Yeah.
really performs like, and I've tasted a number of Napa Sauvignon Blancs that can get quite pricey, and this is just an absolute deal. So really well done. Good job.
Great. Thank you so much, Ian.
And this wine really kind of sets up your appetite, and just a wonderful way to welcome people. And that's super delicious. I like the texture and the weight, the concentration. Really, really nice. Well, thank you very much for opening up our showcase tonight. And now we're going to move on to wine number 2 and O'Brien Estate. And we're going to have Bart O'Brien host our next session.
Okay, I'm muted, and here we are.
You got it.
Oh, this is a wonderful, Morgan, I met your father. I believe is your father Andy?
He is, yes.
I met him on a road sales trip when we used to do that sort of thing back in maybe 2006.
Yeah.
And, I asked him, we're talking to each other, and he asked him who he is. And he said, well, we own 1,000 acres in Napa Valley, and own the Napa Wine Company. I thought to myself, he doesn't have a chance. He won't make it. Very impressive. And I loved, your father is a wonderful, gregarious gentleman. And we had a wonderful conversation. So it's just one of the interesting things about Napa Valley, something Ian said before, is this kind of collegial atmosphere. Because we have, 500, 600, 800 wineries, depending on how you count. But we all compete as a group against Bordeaux, and against Sonoma, and against other wine regions. And, we all share the secrets. All the winemakers, there's no secrets in winemaking. They're like engineers, always share their secrets. We keep our customer list private, but we enjoy each other's company, and we are happy to see each other. When you see someone getting a great score, you're like, wow, good for them. I'm really, really happy. Quite frankly, I'm pleased that as an Napa winery, not a Sonoma winery or someplace else. So it is a wonderful, wonderful place to be, wonderful business to be in. And O'Brien Estate. So this is my young and beautiful wife, Barb.
Hi, Barb.
We're actually the same age. She just looks 20 years younger than I am. So I call her that.
Tends to happen.
Yeah. And so we've been in the Valley since 2000.
Well, we like to say we've been making wines since the turn of the century. And when we bought this in 2000 from the Costellos, this was winery number 39 in Napa Valley, apparently after Prohibition. We bought this and didn't know much about making wine or whatever, or farming, but we decided we'd jump right in and get our feet wet.
I'm used to starting companies, and I have a rule is I always hire people smarter than myself. And it's interesting, I have no problem meeting people smarter than myself. It just works out very well.
So who do we hire?
David Jorgensen is our key winemaker. We also have Mark Davis and Charlie Johnson on our team, but David has been with us since 2004. Okay, but let's show the video though. We have a video queued up, next slide, that tells you a little bit about O'Brien Estate. We're a member-only winery. We sell wine only to our members, not to restaurants, not to stores, and not to people who are not, and not even on a website, people who are not members. Yeah, so we have 40 acres here, 33 vineyard. All of our wines are estate grown, produced, and bottled. We're in our bottling line room, which we also use as a tasting room. And so we do everything on site. Everything is actually here, and we actually live on the property also. So when you come visit us, you're visiting our home, and it gives it a very interesting feel. It's somewhat quaint because we don't have the new corporate tasting room kind of stuff that you remove from the vines. We have chairs made out of barrel staves next to the vines.
We're gonna see on the backside if we can get access to that video. So
okay.
That's
fine.
Improvising a little bit. We're gonna go through the rest of the slides and then we'll come back.
So we make about 13 different wines from 5 varietals. This is a picture of the edge of our vineyard. That's some old equipment I bought once at a secondhand store. It's an old milk cart from 1800s, basically. And we have, I like history. I like the realization that we're living far in the future that people only dreamed about. And that, let's move on to the next slide if we could. Here we go. This is our western view. And so we're in the Oak Knoll district of Napa Valley, western side of Napa Valley, slightly between Napa and Yountville. And this is the Mayacamas Mountains and the sun setting. Sure. So one of the things that we're known for, we have a romantic theme to our wines because Barb and I met 34 years ago in San Francisco and came to Napa Valley on our 3rd date. And during that date, she said, I dream of owning land in Napa Valley one day. And I put that on my to-do list. I was absolutely smitten with her after our first date. And I thought, land in Napa Valley? Well, if I can get her to marry me, anything's possible. Why not? Land in Napa Valley, I don't care what it takes. And so 15 years after we got married, we got lucky enough to find this piece of property. We bought it 3 days after we saw it. We didn't, quite frankly, didn't know anything about the wine business. But as I said, you hire smart people. But we had 2 neighbors come over. Dave Cochran at the time was the general manager of Silver Oak Cellars. Really one of the founders. He didn't have any money, so he didn't have big equity, but Ray Duncan and Justin Meyer. And he and our neighbor next door named Bill Hanna came over and introduced themselves and asked if they could make wine in our winery. He's the great grandson of John Muir, the naturalist.
Oh, wow.
And so his family have been growing grapes in Napa Valley for 4 generations. And
Chardonnay grape, I can say, to Chateau Montelena, and some of his fruit went into the famous Paris tasting for Chateau Montelena that won. So when we bought this property, which was a Chardonnay vineyard at the time, we knew we were in good company and in the beautiful district, Oak Knoll district in Napa Valley. So known for Chardonnay, but now also known for Merlot.
I was going to say, the wine we're offering tonight is our Merlot. It's our 2018 Merlot. Absolutely. We're, quite frankly, we're known as producing some of the best Merlot in Napa Valley. For years, no one else really cared after the movie Sideways about Merlot. Well, Parker said back in 2006, 2007 that we made the best Merlot in Northern California. He may have been drunk at the time.
Yeah, actually. Yeah, well, just we've sort of made our mark with Merlot. The Oak Knoll district of Napa Valley is a cooler climate a little bit, and it's perfectly situated for Merlot. It's kind of the sweet spot for Merlot. And so we made our first Merlot in 2000. It was our first vintage, and we knew we had something special. We made 2 barrels, and we thought, no, this is special. So we shifted the vineyard from being a Chardonnay vineyard to a Merlot vineyard. We went through the vineyard with a chainsaw. Well, we didn't personally, but we had a crew, and they chopped off the heads of 23 acres of Chardonnay, and we grafted over to Merlot. We went deep in Merlot.
Like a big style of Merlot.
Well, I was trying to say what Parker's wrote, which was, and I'm looking over my shoulder, he said, all 3 Merlots come from the southern district of Oak Knoll, and all 3 are brilliant efforts and are as good as Merlot can be.
Okay, let's go back to the last picture you showed.
Sure.
This is...
and I think I got your video to work.
Oh,
if you
okay.
Want, we can jump over
This is a picture of our backyard. This is a picture of where we seat our guests. These chairs are actually made out of old barrels. Our winemakers off-season will make these chairs, Adirondack chairs, that are barrel stays. So it's very unique and interesting. But yes, let's show the video if you have that ready to go. That's fine. So I tell you what, well, let's finish up, because time is important here. But, well, we make a variety of wines. We make some wines called Seduction, which we're quite well known for.
I got to try that Seduction recently, and it was pretty impressive. What is in Seduction?
It's a Cabernet blend of Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, and Merlot. kind of classic Bordeaux proportions, kind of a 50, 30, 20, typically. But it changes every year because every year the grapes do something different, and some varietals are favored and some varietals not so much. And you blend them together, and it's amazing how you can make a more consistent wine every year by varying proportions. And so you're looking for a particular goal. But silky tannins. But we invite everyone, again, I don't want to take too much time here. We invite everyone who's on this call, please come see us. We offer a one-on-one tasting experience. You'll be sitting close enough to the vines to touch them. And we invite you to our home. And we like to sell, we don't sell wine to strangers. We only sell it to friends we meet on site. So come see us.
You have to come here personally.
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
Well, I know right where you're at, and it's a great spot. And I was really impressed. And I will say that I've been urging people to consider trying, drinking more Merlot, because I think the value proposition is really, really great. The wines are just, I mean, if you're still making Merlot today, you must be making some great Merlot, because it got pretty tough out there.
We make a fabulous Merlot, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, sure do.
So if you see me in town, oh, Merlot.
All right. Well, we'll keep an eye out for that. And we thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Ian. And thank you for everyone who has logged on here. Yeah. We appreciate your interest and your support in Napa Valley.
Yeah, and cheers to better days and brighter days ahead. We're pulling out of this pandemic, and we can't wait to see you here in Napa Valley again soon.
Ah, very nice, very nice. Well, thank you very much. Gonna take a look at our beautiful gallery of folks and say hi to everybody, and I appreciate you guys. And yeah, I think Merlot is really an awesome grape variety to get to know a little bit better. Again, and I do think that there was definitely a moment where Merlot had to kind of prove itself again, but it's back, and the wines that I'm tasting made from Merlot are awesome. We got a couple of them tonight, so we're going to be tasting another version. But remember, any of these wines that are blends can have a fun name, and they can not necessarily worry about some of the guiding principles of California wine: 75% varietal, or 75% from a particular appellation. 95% from a particular vintage, by the way, but 75% of the wine needs to be Cabernet to be called Cab, 75 be called Merlot, and sometimes we just like to make a great wine from our property, and we'll have a name for that wine, and we can change the blend every single year. And Merlot is a big part of that program. I know a lot of wineries, when it's a tougher vintage on Cabernet, they'll lean into their Merlot program. And Merlot is definitely a really important grape worldwide. It's the backbone of Bordeaux, and it's huge in Super Tuscans. And I think it's time for people to confidently, tell their friends, I'm drinking Merlot. All right. So we're going to go on to wine number 3 tonight. And that's with Rutherford Hill, right on time as we move into our next Merlot presentation with Rutherford Hill. And let me say hi to our guest from Rutherford Hill. This is Marissa Taylor.
Thanks for having me. Yes, hi, Ian.
Hi there.
How are you?
I'm outstanding. Thanks for being with us tonight. How are you?
Thanks for having me. I'm good. I have a son named Ian, so love the name. So yeah, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and excited to share a story about Rutherford Hill and to share some more Merlot. I too love Merlot, and I'm so happy that the O'Briens have vested into Merlot in Oakville. It's awesome to hear that there is more Merlot in the valley. I'm the winemaker at Rutherford Hill. If you know Rutherford Hill, you know us often because of Merlot. We're one of the pioneers of Merlot in California, bottling our first Merlot in 1975. The winery was first built actually by Joseph Phelps Construction Company, and was built, when it was built, it was souverain. And a couple years later, a group of grape growers, prominent grape growers in the valley, purchased Rutherford Hill to have a spot to make their own wine. And they named it Rutherford Hill. And the story that I've heard is that they were on a trip to Pomerol. They were in France, and they were admiring the Merlot and enjoying the Merlot over there, and thought, well, we have similar soils and climate over in Napa, and we have some Merlot, let's bottle up some Merlot. And that hence started our journey with Merlot at Rutherford Hill. I grew up in wine country. I am from and continue to reside in Sonoma County, but I make the drive every day. And I'm a lover of wine country. I think wherever they grow grapes, it is just beautiful country, beautiful people. I grew up in not a family of wine makers, but of appreciation. They appreciated wine, and my godfather actually was a grape grower, and so it was one of those things. I think you grow up around it, and you don't realize how much that it has become a part of you. And you know, grandmothers, my great grandmother, they would come to town, and my folks would always go wine tasting. And so I grew up being around wineries, and that aroma of when you walk into a winery, just, you know, the smell just gets you, and the vines. And I just love this industry. I love that it's ag, it's science, it's art, and it's about people, and it's about people growing the grapes, tending to the soil, and creating beautiful wines to share with all of you, with our friends and family. And so I was kind of seduced that way, but just it's what led me into getting into the wine business. I worked a vintage over in sparkling wine in Sonoma County when I first got into, when I was in grad school, and then I landed in Italy for a harvest, and then ended up making Pinot and Chardonnay in Sonoma County. I was at William Stein for 4 years before I landed at Rutherford Hill in 2004. So as a young winemaker, I thought I would come over and try making some Bordeaux varieties and, you know, fill out that resume, and just fell in love with the people, the family, and just loved making the diverse amount of wines that we were making. And Rutherford Hill, we are family owned. We were purchased in Rutherford Hill was purchased in 1996 by the Trelato family. And Tony Trelato, it was his dream realized, as we talk about. He longed to be a vintner and to own a winery and make wine. He fell in love with wine, selling it on a retail, learning about wines, importing wines. And his friend Bob Mondavi actually told him, someday you're going to own a winery. And he did, Rutherford Hill. So he was a remarkable man, full of passion and drive. And one of his favorite quotes, do not follow where the path may lead, go instead where there is no path and leave a trail. He really lived that. And very inspirational, him coming to the wineries and blending and talking about wine. And yeah, we're really going to miss him. So we do everything we do for Tony.
He's
and,
a formidable man of the wine industry, and as a person who sold wine for many years, you knew you were up against some pretty impressive wines when the Trelato portfolio was in the house. He always had a really keen vision, and has some really important brands under his family ownership. So a really amazing man of wine who passed away last year.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. And he put that vision when they purchased the winery. It was all about quality. That was something when I first met him, when I started, he said, Marisa, quality is a way of life. And that's how I want to, apply to my life, but then also to the winery. And so when they purchased the winery, they invested building, we refer to as our reserve room, calling out, vineyard contracts that weren't quite up to snuff, but also just investing in their own vineyards. When they purchased the winery, they purchased a winery in 29 acres on a hill with, the brand and wine, but and contracts, which is amazing, with the grape growers that established Rutherford Hill. They also too wanted to have their own vineyards and to I like that the stewards of the land, as Megan was sharing, her dad said, so to continue to do the same thing with the land. And so we now can have, we do both. We work with a lot of prominent growers in the valley, and then we also have our estate vineyards now. We have about 126, 130 acres of our own estate fruit. So we have 60 acres in Pope Valley, and we have 2 vineyards in Rutherford. So we have 6.5 acres on our hill at the winery. And then we have on Mee Lane, we have 60 acres there as well. So we have estate Merlot, Cab Franc that we grow, and then we source fruit as well in the valley. And that's something as a winemaker I've always loved, that I get to, best of both. I get to work with wonderful growers, wonderful fruit north and south of the valley to make this wonderful wine for the Trelatos. And back to that stewardship, John Trelato, John and Bill are very much involved running the company and the wineries, is to leave the environment better than we found it. So we are proud to be Napa Green certified, both in our winery and our vineyards. So soil to bottle, we are certified and continue to strive to continue that vision and get better and better every year. That is what we need to do with the sustainability of these programs. 100% solar. We have our owl boxes, our bird boxes, and just also how we farm. And I think we'll go into, this is the team behind the wine. We are lucky to be family owned, and we are also a family at the winery. This is the crew behind the wine. A lot of passion, and it's contagious. It goes into every bottle. So I hope you can taste it in the bottle that we're about to try. This is Nether Merlot. This is what we refer to as our cask reserve. And this is a 2016. What I think about when I think about 2016 vintage is, for me, it's more of I just think of a big exhale. When I think of the vintage, we had a beautiful vintage. It was kind of the first reprieve after our drought years that we were having. And it was kind of like the sigh of exhale that, okay, we're going to be okay. We're going to get there. We had a really great growing season, pretty mild. And then we got a little bit of heat there at the end to really bring everything to phenolic ripeness. And I think there's a lot of plushness with the 16 vintage. This wine is 85% Merlot, sourced from from Atlas Peak. We have some Stagecoach blocks that we get up there, and then also from some Oakville fruit. So there you go, the Oakville Merlot, love it. And then the Petit Verdot and the Malbec was also from Atlas Peak, and some Cab from Napa. So it's a really great blend of both that hillside fruit, this intensity, some more tannin, and with the lusciousness of what you get from the Merlot from Oakville, which I love Merlot from Oakville. I love Merlot from all over the valley. It's fun to put them all together, but that was kind of the idea behind this wine. It has a little bit more oak age than our Napa Valley, and smaller volume that we make, less than 400 cases. And it's really kind of our favorite blocks from the vintage that we put together. So wanting to create balance, for me, that's always important, to have balance with the wine and texture, fruit and spice. And I hope that you find all that in this glass.
And it's a big Merlot. This has got, some muscles and some really interesting marks and nuance to it. And I love the fact that we had 2 beautiful Merlots, and they both kind of represent different ends of the spectrum and how they present themselves. And I think everyone can enjoy both of those at a very high level. They're really, really beautiful. And I would love to open up the floor here for some questions and comments about the first couple of wines. Anyone want to ask anything? And is Alicia, is there anything going on in the chat box I need to know about? Eric's always got questions, Eric. I know those questions can come in pretty tough. Let me see if it's made for prime time here. When you started, when you state that 83% is aged in new French oak, what's the other 17 aged in? That was a question for O'Brien, I guess. And is
it's aged in once used French oak. So we only use for the red wine. We only use French oak, typically Darnajou and Terranceau barrels, which are the Darnajou are hard to get. They're very allocated, and so generally 75%, depending on what we get as a target of each year, we sell the old barrels. We keep 1/4, and this year we happen to have more barrels than we expected. So we had 83% brand new French oak barrels. We think the high percentage of French oak really, the oak profile adds so much to the wine. I mean, it is very interesting that
versus the
American, yeah, and it's very interesting what the flavor profile of a really good barrel can do to a wonderful wine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that the nuance of a French barrel can be very pretty and soft and delicate and add to your style. And then
we dialed it in. I loved initially in 2000 we were making an Merlot and a lot of American oak, and I love that you got a lot of chocolate and mocha flavors, but it was a little overpowering. And so we dialed it back over time, and we realized what best showcases our fruit and the wine is French oak. So we're 100% French oak barrels now.
Right.
And because it's just more nuanced, just a little more subtle, less oaky.
Marissa, are you 100% French oak?
We are currently, yeah. We dab a little bit each year, trying out new. We've played with some Hungarian oak and also some American oak each year, but I tend to use that. I like my Merlot with French oak. I agree. I like it. It's just stylistically, it's what I like. I think it showcases the fruit, and I love the nuance it does with the tannins. So, but we dabble. It's always, you got to try new things every year, right? So
that's what makes winemaking fun.
Yep, exactly.
Morgan, how about you guys? Are you guys stay mostly in the French oak side of the fence?
Yeah, well, we actually make 2 Zinfandels, and Zinfandels are great with American oak. So we have some American oak on site for the Oakville Winery and the Ghost Blocks Inn, but with our Cabernets, we're French oak.
Yeah, that's cool. Now, some people might be asking at home, what's the difference? And really, what you're talking about is the difference between, like, why do grapes taste different in Napa and taste different in Europe? I mean, the temperature creates a different type of environment for the wood. The grain grows a little larger in American oak, and the sap that wood puts out has a little different aroma profile. And in France, where it's really cold, that aroma profile is very vanilla. And in American oak, it can be a little bit more adventurous, and you can have smells like herbaceousness and dill and things like that in American oak. And those type of things actually make wine interesting, but we don't want to overpower the wine. It's always about elevating the wine. And so I think some wines are built to be able to handle more wood than others, and some winemakers prefer a little less wood, so they'll use an older wood barrel that has less impact on the wine, and a new wood barrel has a bigger impact. And so it's just a little bit about the philosophy and the personality of the winery that's making it. Jeff, how are you doing, buddy? You ready to rock and roll?
I'm ready to rock. Good to see you, Ian.
All right.
Good too, man. Thank you, Marissa.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time, and the wine is gorgeous.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we're moving on with my friend Jeff Mizell, who, Jeff, I don't even want to say how long I've known you. It's been a long, long time.
Yeah, about 19 years, I think, Ian.
Yeah, that's about right. And I'm so happy that you found a great home up in the Napa Valley. We work together down here in Los Angeles.
That's right.
How long have you been up there now?
About 4.5 years, but I'm living in San Francisco with my family virtually at the winery right now.
Very good. Well, all right. Well, we're going to move into wine number 4 with Long Meadow Ranch, and tell us a great story, because I know you got one.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, great lineup so far with my fellow colleagues from Napa Valley. And thank you, Napa Valley Vintners, for being a part of this as well. And Ian, you always put on a great show, live and virtual. So really happy to be part of it. So thanks to all of you who are here. So I like to tell the story through a little video first, and some photographs. So we're going to start up at the winery in the Meadow Mountains. So that's the west side of Napa Valley. We're about 1,000 feet up at the top of Whitehall Lane. And so inside this winery is of course, the winery. We also make extra virgin olive oil. It's on the right side there. And we're going to crest up here to a plateau vineyard that we planted 31 years ago, our first Cabernet Sauvignon vineyard. By the way, so if you drop down to the Sonoma, we'd be in Glen Ellen, to give you a reference point. And now that we're going to spin around with the drone, and you're going to see that same Cabernet plateau, and it's in the winter, so it looks pretty dead. And Ian, if you want to hit pause just when we crest over the ridge, I want to just point out some geography for everyone. So great, thank you. So from a perspective here, St. Helena is up there on the left in the center. That's where our restaurant Farmstead is. And then down here, we have Rutherford. So we have a property in Rutherford just north of Oakville, of course. We have Sauvignon Blanc there, Cabernet, Merlot, and 9 acres devoted to produce, chickens, etc. And if we were up at the winery right now, we would be basically right here, looking out with this view, having a tasting, checking it out, and then going into the winery back below. Okay, so we can move on. So I like doing that. We all wish we were, hanging out in Napa this evening with all of us over some great food and wine together. But alas, we are in our homes enjoying these wines this way. So that being said, Long Meadow Ranch. So as Ian pointed out, I actually got my background in importing, and I'm working for this amazing family, Ted and Laddie Hall. Laddie's on the left, Ted's in the center right. Their son Chris Hall and Chris's wife Tara. So they're the owners of Long Meadow Ranch. Been around with our first vintage since 1994, when Kathy Corson was our first winemaker for the first 10 years. And so I'm the evangelist, the ambassador, the educator. It's a fun job, and I get to sort of preach the gospel of Long Meadow Ranch. And so as we go on now to the next slide, you'll see we are more than just making wine, right? We have the grapes for the wine, the olives for the olive oil, the chickens for the amazing eggs that we use in the restaurant, farmers market, fruits and vegetables, same thing. We have a grass-fed cattle operation out in West Marin and Tamales Bay. And so it's all about this full circle farming. It's about using our compost system, using all the things we grow and create, and then utilize them in one form or another. Recycling, reusing, and reducing. That's sort of the motto behind it. It's all about responsible farming, not just for this season ahead, but for the next generation and the generation after that. So everything we do, all of our vineyards and our farmland and our kitchen at Farmstead are certified organic by CCOF, and we take the whole program of farming very seriously. And with that, from a winemaking style, by the way, I want to show you on this next map, we looked at the drone, and I just pointed out those few spots on the map or in the footage, but to see the 3 red X's. So in the Meadow Mountains is where we were, and then we look down to Rutherford, and we look up to St. Helena. So that's just a quick little snapshot of our properties in Napa. And eventually there'll be a hotel at Farmstead as well in a few years.
Wow.
Yeah, so the next project. So when we get into the wine, I want to show the Rutherford property too, because when we talk about the Cabernet, it's a blend of our 2 properties in Napa. The mountain property we quickly looked at, and now this property in Rutherford. So that's Highway 29 on the right. Gurgitch Hills is our neighbor across the street. And you can see in the foreground, we don't even see grapes yet, right? We see produce, lots and lots of kale for that famous kale salad. Orchard fruit right here. We've got some peach trees and figs, and there's peppers and tomatoes, whatever the season is, you're gonna see it here. And the left, we've got a Cabernet vineyard. On the right side, an older Cabernet block. We see our chicken palace right here in the center. More Cabernet just past the chicken coop here, and then past those trees, past the Napa, the slough that attaches to the Napa River. That's our Sauvignon Blanc vineyard. And then as we swing north, you'll get a quick perspective up to Mount St. Helena. And then the drone will swing back to the left, and up there in the hills to the right, that's where our property is in the mountains. So you get some proximity there to get an idea. And as I mentioned, Gurgitch is across the street, Francis Ford Coppola a little farther to the south, and BV to the south of that. So this Cabernet is sort of our expression of our 2 estates in Napa Valley. It's our blend. All estate fruit that we talked about. Mountain fruit's going to give us smaller berries, right? They're working harder to get their nutrients in the water table. Smaller, more concentration of tannins, more woodsy and earthy. And the right shows you why so many, we've already talked about it here this evening, why Rutherford's so special. We've got this old dried up riverbed, lots of texture in the soil, really rich in nutrients, wonderful for the Cabernet and for Merlot, of course. And by the way, in terms of full circle farming, in between the rows, for example, this year, we just harvested our fava beans. That was our cover crop in between the vines, and we used that at the restaurant. for some amazing appetizers there right now. So that's another idea of that. So I talk about that in the context of this wine. And if you'll notice on this wine, I call this the baseball card of the wine. This is not about quality, it's about giving us some information about the wine. And we talked already about a little bit about oak aging a moment ago, with French oak as that sort of topic of conversation with Merlot and Cabernet. And so we use French oak, only 50% new, 50% neutral. And that's the neutral barrels for us is a range of over 4 years, right? So the first is new, and the second pass, third pass, fourth pass, and then sometimes fifth pass, we'll use that barrel. All Cabernet for us. We used to blend a little bit of Petit Verdot that we had in the vineyard and a little bit of Merlot. We grafted over the Petit Verdot to Cabernet. We like how it forms. And we go for restraint. We love maintaining that acid, the high acid in the wine, having a little more restraint in the alcohol. And that's a style. We talked about before about the use of oak and how it's a style for winemakers and wineries. Same thing here. We love the vibrant acidity and that restraint in the wine. And that stems from Kathy Corson at the beginning and Ted Hall connecting on what their love is of Saint-Emilion and those old Napa cabs from the 70s like Camus and Chateau Montelena with that more lower alcohol and restraint. And we've carried that through to the next generation. And so we just love that idea. I think it was Marisa who talked about the 16 vintage. We agree, a great vintage, lovely for us to be able to age this a little longer. This is our current release, for example. And to get a wine out there that's ready, that has these fine tannins, not punching you in the face. And again, it's a style thing. There's different styles for everyone. We just like that more moderate adventure. So that's the Cabernet. And I just have 2 more slides to show you, again, the diversity of what we do. The olive grove, we talked the olive orchard, and the olive grove goes back to the 1870s. And we restored this old property, this old grove, brought it back, and we built a space for a frantoio, an Italian still mill, simply because this grove is so special. So we make 3 incredible olive oils, we make a vinegar, and all of this kind of components of that circle, they all connect at Farmstead. So Farmstead's our restaurant, and that is wine tastings there, which are now open, which is great. Wine tastings, restaurant, dining, general store, eventually, big weddings and guest chef events and offsites. But this is the community hub where it all happens. And it's become a really great focal point of kind of upper Napa Valley, St. Helena. And that's us. Come visit. I see Emily is coming up. That's great. Yeah. So thank you. I appreciate your time. I know we kind of flew through the quick dance. I'll pass it back to you, Ian.
Good job, man. That was a lot of info, and you did a great job of powering through that. Thank you. And I really loved pivoting from Merlot into the snap to the cab, because now we can really explore what is the difference between Merlot and a Cabernet. And I really think that this is like textbook Napa Valley cab. It's 13.5 alcohol, which I love that. And it's got this really wonderful dusty Cabernet character. And I think the world's better because we've got both great Merlots and great Cabernets. And sometimes that wonderful approachability and roundness, softness, and kind of wonderful visceral character of Merlot is what you're in the mood for. And sometimes you need something with a little bit more of an edge and a little elbow that you've got with Cabernet, and a little bit more of that tannin kind of banging on those taste buds. It's really a beautiful wine, man. And I say that with the greatest respect, because I got to open all the wines that we tasted this week and taste through them, make sure the bottles were in good shape. And I was just really impressed. Just universally, the only difference between these wines really is a little bit of personality and maybe some farming practices, and then just subtle changes in the way people are aging the wine but all the winemakers today are just so educated, and they all share information, and it's just really fantastic to see the kind of the different personalities that shine through in these wines. So and that's often very reflective of the place. And I'm so excited that I was able to segue that right into Stag's Leap. Really, really important and singular place. And there's some really interesting definition here. And I'm excited to introduce to you Marcus Notaro, or Notaro, yes?
Yep, just pronounce all the vowels.
Okay, I'll get them in there. And let's open this up and stop the share for a second, just so we can all kind of get to see each other. We're cruising along pretty well here. We're entering into wine number 5. We're at 8 o'clock. On our first event, it was almost 9 o'clock. We were at wine number 5, so we're moving along pretty quickly. But where are you, Marcus?
I'm right here.
There you are. Okay, good. Yeah, it only shows me when you speak. So let me. There you go.
That's it.
Thanks for joining us. And we've got friends all over Southern California. We sent wine to San Diego and up into Northern California and out to Paso Robles and Santa Barbara, Ventura. I've got my friend David Kay here and Emily Little. Good to see you again. Mark, thank you for joining us again, sir. And Sharon, thank you. Sharon, were you on nights 1 and 2? No? Well, thanks for joining us tonight. Where are you zooming in from?
I'm calling in from Redondo Beach.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Marilyn Fine, where are you joining us from tonight?
Fort Hills, California.
All right. Cool. I love connecting with people because I don't get to see very many people yet, but someday soon. Peggy Martin, I see the two of you there. Thanks for joining us. Glad to have you. Let's see. Rockeye24. I know that email address. I know we exchanged some communications. Hope everything's well. Lisa, everything good in Santa Monica?
Everything is fantastic.
Nice.
My kids got a busher today, so here we go.
All right, cool. Sandy Greenstein. How are you folks? Glad to see you.
Yeah, Sandy and Barbara Greenstein. We're in Thousand Oaks.
Enjoying it. Thank you.
Ah, so good to have you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Aaron Dolan. Hi, guys. Good to see you again.
We're excited to be here tonight.
You know what? Lisa won't quit texting us when we're trying to listen.
Yeah, I'm trying to watch the faces. I like watching you guys because I know you're all chatting away with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Erica is instigating some things, I'm sure.
I stay in trouble. What can I say?
Yeah, it's good. Life is boring without a little trouble, right? Terry, Kamali, how are you two doing?
We're doing great, Ian. Thank you. We're excited about tonight's lineup.
All
We've
right.
had some stuff so far, so thank you so much.
Good. I don't see my brother tonight. Where is he? Mike, you out there? I do think Mike broke into his wine samples a little early. And, he told me that he liked one of the wines a little earlier tonight. I'm wondering if he overindulged already. But knowing that he's not here, I'll just speak even more casually about him than normal. Yu Shen, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Excellent. Where are we catching you?
San Francisco.
All right.
Yeah, close enough.
Did the wine get to you okay?
Yep, they did.
Cool. Well, I'm sure we probably heard from you if the wine didn't get to you. Some people, it didn't make it today or yesterday. So we're apologizing on behalf of UPS and GLS, but the world will continue to move. And Marcus, thank you for your patience. Let us begin, sir.
Hey, no worries. No, it's a pleasure to be with everybody tonight. My wine samples did arrive, and so you know what? It makes for a nice change up for a Friday night of trying to figure out something else to do. But hey, it's a pleasure to be with everybody. It's certainly an honor to be making the wines today at Stag's Wine Cellars. You know, our winery has such a great history, and to present our 2018 Artemis Cabernet Sauvignon to you tonight. We do have a few slides, and Ian, I'm not really going to talk to the slides. We brought together a bunch of pictures of some of our things that you'll see out and around the estate when you come and visit. It's such a beautiful property to visit. And like everybody, we can host folks outside right now and are certainly welcome to do so. But, Stag's Leap Wine Cellars does have a great history. We celebrated our 50th anniversary last year. And it all started really in 1969 when our founder, Warren Vinarski, paid a visit to a man named Nathan Fay. And Mr. Fay was the first person to plant Cabernet Sauvignon in what today is known as the Stag's Leap District. Mr. Fay kind of took a risk when he planted Cabernet there. Our area was thought to be, too cold for Cabernet, but luckily he planted it again anyway. He sold his grapes to other folks and made a little bit of homemade wine himself. And as Mr. Winarski puts it, as when Mr. Fay first popped open the bottle of homemade wine, it was as the aromas were taking up the room that's what captured him. Warren was looking for a place to buy land, to plant his own grapes, to build his winery, and the aromas, the flavors, that was the style and the characters that he was looking for in Cabernet Sauvignon. There just so happened to have been 40 acres of land for sale directly to the south. It was mostly a prune orchard. And remember, when you go back to this time in Napa Valley, it wasn't exactly a bit of the Disneyland that it is today. It was really a time of experimentation still, still kind of looking for a direction. Great wines were being made. But
Marcus,
really, Napa was still kind of, recovering from that great American idea.
Marcus, can I ask, or just make a comment real quick here? The markation up in the left-hand corner is pretty on time, as it was 45 years ago that Stephen Spurrier pulled together the competition in Paris, and Mr. Spurrier passed away just a few days ago, and his influence on making the Napa Valley like one of the most elite wine regions in the world, it does not go by us casually at on this night, because this competition in 1976, which some of you may have become more aware of with the movie Bottle Shock, which featured Chateau Montelena winning for white wine, and the winemaker, by the way, at that time was Mike Gerkage. And there was a red wine that won that competition too, and this is it. Stag's Leap Wine Cellars won the red wine in that same competition. And when they made the movie, they didn't include both wineries. They could only tell the singular story, but this wine was made by Warren Winarski in 1976, and really put Napa at the forefront in the red wine category. And we're talking 1976. Napa Valley wasn't exactly entirely Cabernet. It was a lot of Riesling and Gewürztraminer and other stuff. So this was like cutting edge winery in 1976. And I just wanted to interject that about Mr. Spurrier and thank him for all of the influence that he had in helping us move along.
No, we certainly have lost a legend. And it's really, I feel so lucky. And I know Matt Crafton, the winemaker up at Chateau Montelena, feels the same, of having had the chance to, share dinner together with Mr. Spurrier and be able to understand, what he was thinking at the time. And he's a real gregarious person. He's so humble, and I mean, we've really lost a real big part of history, and certainly part of our history as well. And yes, going back to that tasting, it was the 1973 Stag's Leap Wine Cellars SLV. So the land that I was mentioning that we purchased, the 40 acres of land, Warren then planted Cabernet Sauvignon there. And so our first vintage was 1972, but it was the 73, so just the second vintage off of the Stag's Leap Vineyard, the SLV Vineyard, that Mr. Spurrier and his partner Patricia Gallagher put as part of that tasting. And what he did, he had visited Napa, had seen what was going on, and was really excited by it, and thought he could sell these wines to some Americans and Brits that were working and visiting his wine shop, which of course was in Paris, France. So he invited a bunch of French judges in with a tasting of these New World wines. And at the last second, said, hey, is it okay if I include some fine wines from Burgundy and Bordeaux? They all agreed. And of course, the tasting was done blind, so nobody knew what was what. And lo and behold, it was the Montelena Chardonnay and the Stag's Leap Wine Cellars Cabernet Sauvignon that had won in both categories. And luckily enough, Mr. Spurrier had invited a bunch of media to cover this, but nobody showed. And at the last second, he called over to Time Magazine, who sent over a man named George Tabor, who wrote a little article called The Judgment of Paris that appeared on page like 56 of Time Magazine. But that little article got picked up by news organizations around the world as this great victory by Americans over what the French were most known for, and really gave some direction to the Napa Valley, or if not for anything, it was that kind of that inspirational moment that, yes, we are in the right place, we're doing the right things, and really broke that kind of glass. It was kind of that glass ceiling type moment for the Napa Valley. I think the other thing, obviously, the history of our winery is something that is very important to us. We cherish it. You can see different artifacts when you visit our winery, but certainly the style of our wines as well. Style for me as a winemaker really comes from the vineyards. And Stag's Leap District Cabernet, we grow grapes, and it's a wonderful region. We both benefit from kind of a warming influence, which comes from the rocks and being in this little bowl on the east side of the valley, and some cooling influence as well. We are in the southern part of the valley. Fog lingers longer for us, and cool sea breezes hit us at like 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So this big kind of yin and yang with warm temperatures and then cool temperatures, it creates, for what I call, not just for our wines, but for our neighbors' wines as well, this real complex style. The wines are rich, they're ripe, they have really beautiful Cabernet flavors, but they don't tend to be too over the top. They don't tend to be too heavy, and they have incredible potential for ageability as well. It's really fun to go look into our cellars and taste older vintages of SLV or Cask 23 or Fay as well. But this style, this complex style, interesting wines, they're not too over the top. There's a lot happening. I want to go into our Napa wines as well. Like, we're tasting our 2018 Artemis Cabernet tonight, but we also produce a Napa Valley Sauvignon Blanc, which we call Leveda, and a Chardonnay called Caria as well. But I like wines that are interesting. When you smell them and you taste them, there's different things going on. Their flavors are lingering and lasting. They go great with food. They go, inspire conversations around the table. And the inspiration for Artemis. So Artemis is the goddess of the hunt. She's the protector of the stag. So obviously very appropriate for our label and for our region. But for the wine as well, Artemis is meant to be a hunt around Napa Valley. We've heard from the folks before me about different areas in Napa Valley. And depending on where you grow Cabernet, it takes on a different personality, it takes on a different character. And that's what makes our valley really so special. It's such a small place. It's like 30 miles long by 5 miles wide, but you have all these different soil types, all these different microclimates. If you're in a mountain area, if you're on the valley floor, Cabernet takes on a different character, a wonderful character. And that's what we're really trying to capture with Artemis. So for sure, we grow Cabernet, in Stag's Leap, where it has, again, that kind of real soft power character, the ripe wines, but they're not heavy wines. But we also source Cabernet in mountain areas, like up on Atlas Peak. Mountain areas are above the fog, there's more sun, doesn't get quite as hot up there. It's a little warmer at night, but you have these beautiful volcanic soils, and Cabernets going in those areas take on a bit of like a sage and a huckleberry note, and they're bigger, more bolder in terms of their tannin structure. We own vineyards and source grapes from the northern part of the valley, up in St. Helena, Calistoga, Rutherford. Cabernets there have a little more riper character. They're more dark fruit, blackberry, black cherry, and more soft, more supple tannin. And then we also own and look for grapes in the southern part of the valley. We use Cabernet from Warren's Vineyard in the Coonsville region, and then own a vineyard in the Wood Valley, where, again, in these cooler parts, Cabernet takes on a different character. Again, it's more red fruit, tea leaf, violets, and brighter acidity, a little bit richer tannins. And so that's what we really I'm trying to capture with Artemis. I'm trying to make the best expression of Napa Valley Cabernet Sauvignon for the vintage. So this wine, and we're tasting tonight, 2018. This is primarily Cab Sauv. It's like 98% Cab and just like a little bit of Malbec, a little bit of Petit Verdot. And 18 was a great vintage too. It reminded me actually a little bit of 16 in that, we had this beautiful summer where it was cool weather. I like to barbecue during the summer and normal summer, nice warm evening, my wife, my kids, the dog, we're all outside. And like 16 during 18, it was me and the dog that were outside as we would have the cool sea breezes that would come up, at 6 o'clock at night. It's cold, but it was classic Napa Valley weather during the summer. So cool, and we were really excited actually about the whites like Sauvignon Blanc and Chardonnay. We had these really expressive wines, bright fruit, great natural acidity. And I remember when we finished harvest of the whites, like, we're really all about Cabernet. And so now we need some heat and a long growing season and to get the Cabernet ripe, and that is exactly what we got. September, October, we had a beautiful long growing season. We were picking grapes into the first week of November. I don't think it rained until the third week of November. And when you have that kind of combination, that coolness in the season is why I think Artemis, when you smell and taste it right now, it's pretty perfuming. It's a pretty aromatic wine. It's got nice bright acidity to it, but the tannins are lush, lingering, they're soft, they're ripe. And that's what you get when you have a long growing season for Cabernet Sauvignon. It really allows that extended time, allows for those Cabernet tannins to get nice and soft and lush. And makes for a fun wine to drink tonight. I hope everybody's enjoying it.
Showing really, really well, buddy. And Jeff, you've got to try both of them side by side, and they're both great wines, made just with different terroir and different sub-appellations and different ideas there. Do you have anything that you smell? Marcus, do you have the wines in front of you? Did the wines actually make it to you?
They sure do. They sure did.
I think they're both showing so well right now, and it's gorgeous and really iconic Cabernet characteristics, kind of, but on the really nice restraint side of the fence on both these wines, with a lot of wonderful pinpoint detail and those iconic Napa. Little dusty cherry, little dusty note coming from that Rutherford dust or that Stag's Leap dust. I'm not sure where that dust is coming from, but it's definitely a mark in the nose, and I love it.
Glad you enjoy it.
Thanks, man. How much is the Cabernet from Stag's Leap Artemis?
Artemis in our wine shop, we sell that for 70.
75, 70. Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful wine, good value. And really wonderful texture there. Thank you so much, Marcus.
Ian, I saw just a couple of quick questions that I was watching on the chat, and one was about the fires. I know, those two fires we had this year did not come back down behind Stag's Leap as they did 2017, so a little less drama for us in 2020. And then I saw another question about tasting of Cask 23. When you visit the winery, yes, we do have some wine flights where you can taste all three of our estate wines. Fay, SLV, Cask 23, along with our single vineyard Chardonnay from Warren's Arcadia Vineyard.
David,
thank you for those questions.
David K wanted to know what kind of pressure you felt when you were hired by the winery with such a legendary personality behind it.
Well, listen, I was very, very humbled to have the opportunity. With such a great history, but the goal, Warren's goal at Stag's Leap Wine Cellars from the very beginning was to really recognize how special the place was, and that both SLV and the Fay Vineyards are special. They have a unique personality, and his goal was to make the best wines that he could that would bring out the personalities of those vineyards. And at the winery where I was at before, it was called Cellars. It was up on Red Mountain in Washington State, and that was our same goal. So I was quite confident in the mission. I spent many sleepless nights the first year or two as I got to understand the place. It takes a winemaker, you don't just walk into a place and know everything. It takes a winemaker at least, I think, 5 years to really understand your vineyards and to know what to do So I'm certainly getting a little bit better sleep today than I did in those first couple of years of moving down. But I love the place. It's got I mean, the wines are, it's an honor to make them. Again, they're really beautiful vineyards, and they have great potential for ageability and drinkability as well. So I'm just so happy to do it.
On the screen, I've got the auction item up. It's a Magnum. That's a double bottle, sitting at $120. So you can really pick up a screaming deal there. Yeah, I think that in the larger format, it really slows everything down, and that's why these large bottles are kind of the way you want to buy wines that you're going to lay down for a while. And you know, they're also great for larger groups, like a party of 4, right? We hope to be able to get together someday. But thank you so much, Marcus. We're going to move now to wine number 6 in the Spoto family. And let me say hi to the group here again. Spoto family is going to be represented by Stuart Spoto and Christy Spoto on the Zoom as well, right?
And Christy. Hi, Ian. How are you?
Oh, so great to see you.
Great to see you and learn about some of the other, even more things about all the other great wineries. So thank you for having us.
And Stuart, I think we talked. Your wines did not arrive, right?
No, that's okay. You know, it's a GSO or GLS. You know, it's spotty sometimes. It doesn't matter. You know, it'll get here tomorrow. It'll just be a second treat.
We're virtually drinking with you all.
Good job. And thank you guys for joining us. I'm looking forward, and it's kind of nice. And honestly, we didn't really have much to do with it. The way the wines kind of came together, the lineup just kind of appeared naturally as we were talking to the wineries, and we've moved from, you know, Long Meadow Ranch to Stag's Leap Winery to Spoto, and your position is back in Oakville, kind of gone full circle around the entire Napa Valley today. And tell us about your family story.
So Stuart is our winemaker extraordinaire, and I am the backup singer responsible for the wine club and the events that we are unfortunately not having quite yet, but we're very hopeful that those will be starting back up in the near future. But we are a 3-generation winery, and Stuart started making wine actually back when he was just a little guy at about 7 years old. And he made wine alongside of his dad. And his dad, though not really just as a hobbyist winemaker, made wine. And I would say it was not all that great at the beginning, but it did evolve until eventually down the road, he ended up competing in some very wonderful competitions in the Napa Valley and won Best of Show. So he really did come along, and he was a wonderful sage teacher to Stuart along the way to share with him the best ways of making wine. And as any good Sicilian family would teach, he told us there were 2 very important things in winemaking. Number 1, obviously, is cleanliness. And secondarily, you have to have great grapes. And we are so fortunate that we have wonderful grapes in the appellation of Oakville. And there's some maps there and some signs that will kind of guide you along the way. But if you're on Highway 29 and you go west of the iconic Welcome to Napa Valley sign, you'll go right up against the base of the Mayacamas Mountains, and our vineyards are right there alongside of Opus One, Farniente, Heights Martha's Vineyard, Harlan Estates. So we have very lovely neighbors. But the thing that you have to realize about us is that we are very unique in that we are basically, we get our grapes in Oakville, but our winery is located in Sacramento in our home. So we are the first bonded winery in Sacramento County. And fortunately, although it was not an easy trek, we were able to set the stage and break the groundwork for many others who wanted to become bonded wineries. So looking at our whole winery picture here, it's generally Stuart and myself, but we do have two daughters who help out a great deal when they are able to. Our oldest daughter has traveled the world making wine, and she's worked in Tasmania, South America, South Africa. And she too now is the third generation winemaker, has her own brand called Ariana.wine. And so it really is a family affair. The really cool part is I love this picture because this happens every year, unfortunately, until last year when the fires prevented us from making wine. But we really do touch every grape, every bottle, and it's a very personal adventure for us. We produce less than 400 cases total production of our wine. And at harvest, we set off for Napa, and at daybreak, we start picking right there along with the vineyard workers. And you can see myself and my daughter and Stuart and his brother down there on the bottom, working alongside of all the hard workers out there. And we bring the wine back home and do all the processing from production to tastings from that point on. So I'm going to pass the baton to Stuart, who likes to talk about the wine.
Absolutely. I think Christy nailed it. I mean, most of the fun about winemaking is just the experiences you have along the way. And to be able to be out in the vineyard as much as we are, to work with the team, to watch the grapes as they start to bud out and they turn as the season grows into this beautiful, beautiful grape. It's just a lot of fun. And that team we've had for almost 20 years now in that vineyard. The vineyard that Christy was talking about is a very historic vineyard in Oakville. I can't name it because it's got a trademark on it. So I'll leave it at that. But it's a very historic vineyard. And we're very fortunate to be leasing a small little space there for the last 20 years. As Christy mentioned, we've been making wine together as a home winery probably for 15, 20 years before we got commercially bonded back in 2003. So we've been doing this quite a while, and it's so much fun. We've always wanted to stay small and keep our production down below 400 or 500 cases. The wine that we have for tonight, which I'll get to in a second, we only produced 100 cases of that. So it's a very small production. This picture, I just wanted to kind of point out that this is our home. This is our cellar that we do underground tastings. And then the next slide, if you can go to that, is our outdoor area where we do tastings as well. And that's been really helpful with COVID because we've been able to do outdoor tastings when we were able to do so. Getting to the wine a little bit, this cuvee, so we've tasted Merlots tonight, we've tasted Cabernets, even a white wine. But what's fun about a Bordeaux style blend, which we really love making, is that it's kind of a challenge from year to year, because if you think about it, you have 4 varietals and you have 20 barrels, and you have to get just the right percentage of each wine into that glass. So we spend months trying to get these blends perfected. And this happened to be a blend of like about almost 60% Cabernet, a nice dose of Cab Franc, a little bit of Merlot and Malbec. But the beauty of this wine is the fruit just seems to be alive. It's just really beautiful, vibrant fruit, and it almost dances on your tongue. And that's what I love about this wine, because when you take the first sip, the Cab pretty much hits you up front. Then the Cab Franc and the Merlot say, hey, it's my turn. We're going to take it the rest of the journey, and excites your mouth and dance on your taste buds and give you just enjoyable flavors of beautiful cherry and blackberry and creme brulee. And it's just amazing. Earlier we were talking about barrels and how the barrel influences the wine. What's nice about it is when the fruit is just beautiful and bold like that, you can put a little bit of oak on it. And this one was aged for 22 months in about 60% new French oak, I believe. And when again, 60% new and then 40% once used. We use pretty much Demptos and Tonnelouis Leroy. They're both wonderful producers of French oak barrels, and that's all we use. And I like to use the analogy that, you know, oak is a very personal thing. I mean, every winemaker has their favorite barrel, and you know, it's almost like you have to try all the different ones, from the toasts, the thickness of the woods, the regions, and it's kind of come down the road that for me, American oak is good and it's got its place for various wines, but American oak is much like smelling of vanilla. It's just vanilla. But when you get a nice French oak barrel with the right grape in it, it's like creme brulee. I mean, it's just another dimension of the wood and how it accents the wine. So we really enjoy using the French oak barrel. So let's see, we made 4 barrels of this wine, and that's only 100 cases. we make a couple of different wines. We make our Oakville Cabernet. Unfortunately, that wine was sold out, but we do have the Oakville Cuvée Christiane available. And I think what we're going to do, I don't know, Ian, did you have on there the promotion that we talked about earlier, or do I just need to mention that?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and mention it? I don't think it's here, but your contact information is.
Yeah, so our contact information is there. But I think one of the things we wanted to do is, as much as we love participating in the virtual tastings, and keep in mind, we've done a lot of virtual tastings in the last year, as we all have, but we would love to have all of you that are attending come visit us, because it's quite a unique setup that we have. It's almost like going to France, and then you find this little home and you knock on the door, and this Italian or the French family comes out and they take you in and they show you the wines they're producing. They take you down to the cellar and they taste wines. That's what we have going on here. So it's really a fun experience. We love sharing it. But for any of you that are watching this Zoom presentation and want to learn more about our wines, our website's there. Plus, because you attended this, we want to give you if you want to purchase some of our other wines, there's a STARS 10, which is a discount code on our website. That's STARS 10 that you get 10% off your order. So just kind of like a thank you to say, you know, we really appreciate you tuning in and watching us all tonight. And we hope to see you at our winery one day soon.
Fantastic. We're going to give everyone an email, and I think it's probably on its way. I don't know if Alex is out there and can tell me if it's gone out yet or not, but that email should be hitting your inbox before the end of this presentation. And it's got the special offer from each of the wineries, as well as contact information, their website, and all that stuff. And then if there's any adjustments that need to be made to the auction, Greg, you're going to get a little email. We got a little winery picture to fix, and we'll fix that. But the auction will remain open until, what is that, Sunday night, buddy?
Yeah, we go till Sunday night at 9 p.m.
Cool. And, you know, we always talk a little jokingly about it, but it's great to get your bid in early and then get outbid, because you just raised money for charity. And our charity is Children's Hospital Los Angeles. And certainly during the pandemic, you know, a lot of people weren't, you know, not able to give, and children's charities certainly were one of the many charitable arms that probably suffered a little setback. But we have been very fortunate to be associated with Children's Hospital for a long time and continue to benefit them. And we've got a long association, and Greg has been my conduit to them and being able to do that. And if you ever wanted to go on an amazing, like, you think your life is tough, you think you're unhappy with something, you want to change your look on the world, go for a little tour at Children's Hospital Los Angeles and see the wing of the kids and cancer therapy. And I think it'll fix you real quickly, and really touch you, because they're doing some amazing work there, and it really changed my world, and continue to try to bring awareness to that. So definitely check that out if you're ever in Hollywood. It's a beautiful facility, really well run, and they do a great tour for for people that are interested in doing that.
Yeah, and to just to recognize Ian, if a lot of you don't know, this is our 13th year supporting Children's Hospital. For the past 12 years, we did through a foundation called the TJ Mortel Foundation. Now we're doing it through a foundation called Unite the United. So what we do is we get all the money that we raise through these wine tastings, which used to be in person. Now they're on the Zoom. And, for the past 13 years, thank you to Ian, thank you to all the wineries, thank you for all the people who have purchased great bottles of wine. We're closing in on $550,000 raised. So thank you.
Cool. Well, thank you, Greg. And I always want it to be more than that, but we do make it, our events are not just fundraisers, they are fundraisers as well. So we take the little bit of money that we can raise every event, and sometimes it's 5,000, sometimes it's 10. And it's just wonderful to have that association, and thank you for making it possible.
What we kind of say in the nonprofit world, not everything could be a home run, but that's okay. We have plenty of singles and doubles, and we do 5, 6, 10 of these a year, and it adds up.
Yeah, thank you. And that's been kind of the long, slow tortoise approach that we've had to getting there. But it's amazing how it adds up, and it's great to see it continue to grow, and super happy to do it with you. And thank you to the Spoto family.
Yes, and thank you so much, Ian. And if I can, I wanted to just say 2 things to answer your questions there.
Sure.
Our tasting room is in our home in Sacramento. We have an indoor and an outdoor tasting. We had a barn with horses that was converted into a winery dining room. It's quite lovely. So depending on whatever the status of COVID is, we can have guests in the outdoor dining, and we also can go indoors and give you a tour of the production facility, which is a lot of fun. And I have to say that the wine is called Christiane because that is my fancy name. And that is the name that my mother gave me when she tried to impress people, Christiane. So I go by Christy, but Stuart was very gracious and named the wine Christiane after me.
She goes by Chris too.
And you said something about Sicilian background?
Yes, we're both Sicilian. So you don't tell 2 Sicilians that they can't have a bonded winery in their home.
Look at that.
That's how it happened.
I love it. Hey, believe me, I am even a bigger fan now, because if any of us followed the rules to the letter of the law, we probably none of us would be drinking wine today.
Right. Well, and we're only following the words of our patriarch of our family, Stuart's dad, Henry, who passed away last year. So we're missing him a lot, and we raise a glass to him and to all of you.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Really fantastic. And we have yet one more awesome brand to present. And I'm super excited to have Jason Keever with us tonight. And Jason, I've been watching you all night. You've been there patiently. Thank you so much, Jason.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone that has joined this wonderful evening with amazing wines. I mean, I'm humbled to be in such great company tonight, and for supporting this lovely cause. Now, I should warn you, unfortunately, Ian has saved the least eloquent of us for last. And that, coupled with I'm currently sharing a room with a cat that absolutely hates me, it's be like entertaining for you guys. So I don't know what's going to happen, but hopefully this will be fun.
What's that mean? Where are you?
Oh, I'm at my house. And I'm hiding in my wife's office. She's set up a barricade out front, which is actually hilarious, to try and keep our 4-year-old from coming back and rushing and joining the Zoom, because there's nothing like a toddler Zoom bombing an event like this. I'm hiding in her office with an adopted cat that is 15 years old. We got her from Jameson Animal Rescue Ranch last year. And she looked so sweet and lovely, and she seems so sweet and lovely, and she absolutely detests me. And if I try and touch her, I mean, I feed her, I change her litter box, but whatever. Alice just does not like me. But such is life. It's all good. One of the other cats likes me, and he likes me fine, so he might come in and say, hey, it's all good.
That's the way it is with animals sometimes. It's like females, or they just like males, what it is. I don't know, but 15-year-old cat.
Yeah, no, she's just set in her ways. She's super sweet. She looks adorable, but she's sitting over here, and it's all fun and games until you try and touch her. And then things go south.
I see. Well, you at least learn the rules. That's it.
Oh no, learned it fast. Couple scratches, life goes on. It's all good. It's all good.
Awesome. Let's talk about this bad boy, because your wine has always been an awesome find, and I'm super happy to have you on the Zoom.
Thank you so much, and really thank you for this opportunity to share this wine with everybody, and thank you all again for joining us. So Keever Vineyards, I mean, really a nice bookend to this, because we started with Ghost Block in Yountville, and now we're at Keever, also in Yountville. We are just south of the Veterans Home on the Western Hills. There's the winery, and that's our first vineyard block that we planted in 2000. We are tiny. We are 6 acres planted to vine. And in case you think that was a sound on your computer, no, I did not say 60, I said 6. We are just 6 acres planted to vine. Most of it Cab. We had a little Cab Franc for a while. We budded that over to Sauv Blanc. And then we actually recently replanted that, ripped it out and replanted it to Malbec. So I have high hopes that this year we're gonna see our first Malbec fruit off the estate. But lovely Yountville vineyard. And this that we're drinking tonight is our 2016 Cabernet Sauvignon. So this is 100% Cabernet, and it's from 3 vineyards throughout the Napa Valley. One on almost Howell Mountain on the northeast side of Napa Valley. And then another at the Oakville-Rutherford border. And then from our estate in Yountville. Amazing, amazing fruit sources. And we joke, it's almost Howell Mountain because it's at 1,350 feet elevation, whereas Howell Mountain actually starts at 1,400 feet elevation. But the grower we bought it from was amazing, and we absolutely adored her and the fruit. So much so that we would put it in with our own estate fruit to make this wine. We've got some videos next. So Ian, please hold off before you start this. Let me get ready. The sound on this was loud. So I've muted the sound. So I'm going to try and narrate for you guys in real time a gravity flow facility. So this is our first vibrating sorting table, and this is our 2020 Cabernet coming across. And this is a vibrating sorting table, so it's shaking. As it shakes, you drop off flower petals, little small bits of detritus, pick out the big stuff, the leaves, the rocks, the lizards, and then up into our destemmer. So this is where we're going to separate berry from stem. This is an oscillating of destemmer, the Bucher oscillus. Instead of a rotating drum, it shakes the clusters so that the berries pop off. And here you see, oh yeah, no, seriously, lizards. We'll get back to lizards. Here you see Mom and my sister. One more last look before it hits an optical sorter. This optical is 4 cameras and 64 air jets that in real time looks at every berry, and anything that's not a beautifully perfect ripe berry gets rejected and popped out. And that was me collecting an FYB, or fantastic yellow bin, so you could see the grapes that this is producing. And I mean, literally, we are running 2 tons an hour on that line to get it to our fermentation tank without ever cracking a single grape seed, ensuring just the softest tannins. Yes, an optical sorter. Thank you, Woodside Electric Corporation, for an optical sorter for 6 acres. We do not mess around. This is our press. This is a basket press. Again, a very, very gentle way to press these grapes. So you can see as it goes squish, it's not my feet. It's actually a stainless steel head that's pushing the berries and forcing the juice out the sides, and then gushing over some dry ice. So we've got a nice CO2 blanket to help minimize oxidation, pop it through a screen. And from there, we'll take it into barrel and take it into the cave. The cave, oh, there's the cave, sweet. Small cave, but just enough to be temperature stable, humidity stable, and a great place to age our wine for 18 to 26 months in the case of the Oro. And actually, yeah, a cave is not a bad place to live. My daughter loves to actually bicycle through that thing. We open up the doors and she can just go circles around there and just absolutely adores it. Yeah, and a lovely picture of people enjoying our wines out with the spectacular Napa Valley behind us. And you know, it's really been a treat to talk to you guys tonight and to be in this company. I should say, I am not the winemaker. It's been wonderful to be on with other winemakers here tonight, but Celia Welch is our winemaker, and she is phenomenal. Her ability to create an elegant and balanced wine honestly just baffles me to this day. When we sit and we do blending trials, usually 6 to 9 months after we've barreled this down, we'll spend a whole day, you know, a whole meeting just talking about texture and getting the balance right. And the wine, when it hits your palate, I mean, it should have the right mouthfeel. It should have a little bit of chew, a lot of velvet. And I mean, that is something she excels at.
I've got a picture of her here on your website, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a great lady. I'm a big fan of her wine style, and you know, she famously is a winemaker of Scarecrow, and has her hands on a number of great projects. And,
phenomenal projects, not to mention her own wine, Cora, which is exceptional. I mean, again, finesse, balance, just the elegant wine. That is what she does.
Very cool, very cool. Well, this wine's a beauty. It is a 2016 also.
Yes, sir.
And you can purchase this directly through your website. $135 a bottle, considerably less than the Scarecrow wine.
Oh yeah, we are bargain basement compared to Scarecrow. And for all of the guests this evening, in that email that goes out, we have a promo code as well. So you'll see that out there. And I think it was $5 shipping or something like that is what I was trying to throw out there. But yeah, just really, I mean, a juicy, fun wine, something that is very food friendly and very approachable young. Balanced, and again, I mean, not to overuse the word elegant, but seriously, this is, what happens when you have the least eloquent last.
Well, good job, man. I think you did a great job. And I'm feeling comfortably numb at this point. I hope everyone else is enjoying it as well. I'd love to open it up for questions, comments, ideas, reactions. I'm going to take everybody, I'm going to unmute everybody dangerously. And
I would like to say this is the most human noses that I've seen in one place at a long time. So this has been entertaining. Thank you all.
It's fun to actually see real people move. Hi, Renee Lapp. I didn't get to say hi to you earlier. Good to see you.
I think we're the only people not from California.
Art Torres, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. And Norma Rosales is with him. We had dinner together.
Good. Let's see. I'm sorry, Renee, if you said something, I didn't hear it.
I was just saying we're from Wisconsin. I think we're the only non-California.
Oh, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I like it.
Awesome.
Fantastic. And are you guys tuning in from Wisconsin tonight?
Yeah, so it's a couple hours later here.
Did we send you wine, Renee?
You did.
Woo woo! And it made it?
Yep.
Nice. That's great, because we can get it all the way to Wisconsin, but we can't get it to Paso.
Or Napa.
Or Napa. How awesome. Natasha, thanks for joining us tonight.
Jason, you have our favorite winery. My wife and I love to come up,
No.
meet your dad and your sister. And
Neighbors.
you guys are, you're
I love it. Hey, wait, is that Bart, right? Yeah, there you go.
Bart. Yeah.
Like at my other favorite winery, like on this side of the west side.
Nice. Oh, no.
Yeah, like west side.
And Mom raves about you guys.
Well,
Fully.
we rave about you all the time.
The love is mutual.
And I'm so envious of your optical sorter. Now that I know you have this vibrating table thing.
Oh my God, no, it's nuts. Like in vintages like 2008, where there was like frost issues and shopberry, like these things are magic. All the green stuff just drops right through the table and it's all junk that never makes it to the fermentation tank. I mean, I cannot tell you how spoiled I know I am.
We had the optical sorter from Walsh Vineyard Management. We got it
in 2011, which is a disastrous year, of course.
Was that the same year? No, 11. And we were like, yes, because my husband Bart is all about Silicon Valley high-tech stuff. And so we got this optical sorter. We don't have one like you do.
We rented one in a critical.
But I mean, come on, it's so awesome.
Good for you guys.
Anyway, we love you. We love you. Love your wines, and we're on the same side of the valley. We're just neighbors, just up the road a piece.
Nice.
From Spoto?
We could do a crawl from your place to the other.
Beautiful idea.
We can roll down the hill. We don't have to drive the car. We spin a neutral and just kind of roll down the hill.
Ian who said that. I love it. It's a great idea. Well, back to what Bart was saying earlier. So much fun. All of us here in Napa Valley, we all are passionate about making wine, passionate about making the best wine we can, and we all work together to really make sure that we elevate our brand and our wines and share stories and technology and everything to really make the best wine we can. Every year.
Shout out to the Napa Valley.
And every year make it better than last.
Thank you guys.
Eric, tasting room and keep in Yountville?
Oh, us? Yes. Yeah, we do. We have a little tasting room that actually, and that was the building that was in the picture. Right now, we're literally seeing one group in the morning and one group in the afternoon, and that's about it.
Sure.
But it makes it good entertainment, and you get one of the barrel monkeys to take you on a tour and answer any questions that you might have. So,
Jason, once that optical sorter goes through and picks out those berries, what do you do with all the stuff that it picks out?
So we take a good look at it first and foremost. And in some cases, you think, all right, the machine was crazy, we rerun it. Because you can literally just pick the stuff up that's in another one of these lovely FYBs, throw it down on the shakers and give it another pass and see if the machine still thinks it would be rejected. Mm-hmm. And lo and behold, 9 out of 10 times you get the same amount right back. And oddly enough, so we used to have, instead of the optical, a second vibrating long sorting table, and we would get sorting crews. Because if you live in a city and you call a temp agency and you say, hey, I need people, you can get data entry and accounting and that kind of thing all day and all night. Well, in Napa, our temp agencies send us bottling crews and sorting crews and that sort of thing. So we used to have people, and we would get 8 people a day to pick all of this stuff out by hand. And then starting in about 2016, we literally couldn't get enough human beings to show up to sort the fruit to our liking. So that was when we started exploring the optical. So we got a robot, and the robot does the magic. But we actually get less rejects with the optical than we did with people. So, all said and done, were people down, but money ahead and grapes ahead and wine ahead, I guess?
Hey, Jason, a fundraising idea.
Future, baby.
A fundraiser idea came across the chat. If we raise some hands, how many people would throw in $10 to see Jason pick up the cat?
Well, which patch? The one who likes
For Children's
the other one.
Hospital.
The one who doesn't like me for the Children's Hospital.
I put $10 on the cat.
Right? This is real. Here we go.
Okay.
Oh my God. Oh, she's not doing it.
Oh,
Yeah.
he loves you.
Stuff.
He loves you.
She's been drinking the wine.
We're looking for a retreat though.
Oh, wait. I'm gonna bring out my other cat.
You got a cat too?
Hang on. I got
There we go.
a cat. Hang on.
Oh, wait, it's not in the lap?
No, she's gonna go try to fetch it, but she won't be back for a while. The cat's gonna wrestle her to the ground.
Thank you. So I'm glad that wasn't more of a.
Oh, here we go. Look at that. Get back to the cat.
That is not a small cat.
No,
Oh my gosh.
No, he's
There's-
a working cat. He eats a lot of gophers in the vineyard.
Wow. Oh, that's awesome.
He lives in the garage. We don't feed him much. He has to eat gophers, and we appreciate that. He's a working cat. We write him off on their income taxes.
It's medical expenses, right?
We ran off his car.
Oh my God.
He's a dog. He's amazing. This is Hobbs. He's 10 years old.
Huge.
And he's
Funny. Wow.
Hello.
That is a big boy. Big boy.
I have to put it down because my arms hurt now.
That's Hobbs. Which one of you is Calvin?
Just kind of thanking everyone saying they had.
Anybody else have any animals, any exotic animals we can
Here we go. Look at this.
Oh, wait. Wait.
See this cat?
That's a panther. That's not a cat.
This is a panther. I got here tonight on video. I was like, oh, that one would like. This is motor.
That seriously is not a cat.
No, he's a panther. I told you.
Wow. That is a big animal.
No. He's my feral, and we never see him. But he heard there was a party in the cellar.
One.
That's cool. Well, usually they just make an appearance without being invited, but
This was like.
I hope you're okay. Hope the panther didn't knock
I'm
out.
gonna start bringing out the chickens real soon unless we cut this off.
They're safe.
It's all right.
The cats are nocturnal. The chickens are.
Well, thank you all. I hope you guys had a great time, and we'll come and see us again. We do have just a couple of sets for tomorrow night. If you didn't join us, we do have. It would be limited to LA delivery. We do have the courier delivering a few kits tomorrow. So if you know anybody who wants to join us, there are just a couple kits available for tomorrow. But just wanted to share with you, we run a little wine store in my family called Merchant Wine, and there you could find Zoom into Wine, which is where we promote a lot of our upcoming tastings. And we're promoting an event next week, Wednesday, where we're going to be talking about vintage in the Napa Valley and a perfect vintage, and we're going to be focused on the 13 vintage, and we're going to kind of cross pollinate the conversation with a port tasting, because we're going to be tasting 02 versus 03. But a friend of mine made a little film called A Perfect Vintage, and it's part of the Sonoma International Film Festival, and it's about making wine and all the struggles and all of the wonderful efforts. And there's a lot of winemakers involved in it. And it's a really beautiful film, and it's already won a lot of awards. And we're going to have Timothy on the Zoom with us, and Chris Sawyer, and a number of people that were in the film. And so if you guys want to join us for that or anything else, just take a look at our Zoom into Wine portfolio of events. And I started doing events a long time ago at Learn About Wine, and this is just now coming back to life as this Zoom product allowed us to bring classes online. So we have a full class schedule taking shape, and this is just getting started. So we got educators from all over the world that are going to be joining us at Learn About Wine, and we're getting those classes organized as we speak. So really excited about that. And thank you guys for being here tonight. Thank you to the Napa Valley Vintners, and be safe, everybody. We'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow if you can join us. Good night.
Good night.
Thanks,
Thanks, Ian.
Thank you all.
How much fun is this?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone walk to your bedroom safely.
Yeah. Careful of those cats.